Good morning, friends, and welcome back to our weekly garden walk and talks. It's currently the first Saturday in June, and the hydrangea room is starting to come into bloom. I think it will be in full bloom in about 2 weeks. But since you've seen the garden last, the Ranunculus have started to bloom. We've got Snapdragons and lilies to look at. The penstemon are blooming and looking absolutely fantastic. So let's take a walk around the garden together. Here in the hydrangea room, I have a mix of pink, white, and green hydrangeas. And as I said, the main show will be in about 2 weeks. But we do have some lovely Martagon lilies in bloom at the moment. The hellebores are still blooming, and we also have some astilbe. Right here we have Alberta morning Martagon lilies. Martagon lilies face downward and have a subtle sweet fragrance and small dainty blooms. I absolutely adore Martagon lilies. They take a little while to get going. In fact, I think the year that I planted the Martagon lilies, they didn't bloom that year. It took them 2 years to really come into their own. As you can see, a lot of the hydrangeas are starting to bud up, and I cannot wait to see them all in full glorious bloom. Over here we have some penstemon in bloom. And I didn't do much in this garden this week. I did start to clean up some of the dying daffodil foliage, but I haven't mulched this garden yet, and I haven't added anything into the garden. I think we could use some more penstemon on the right-hand side, but my main focus this year has been just relaxing and enjoying time with my family in the garden. And I've been trying to save a lot of money too. We have some Orlaya grandiflora in this garden. This is self-seeded from years past, next to some feverfew. And this year I'm going to do a dedicated tour of the hydrangea room, talking about each hydrangea variety once this garden comes into full bloom. But I like this combination here. This is Invincible Lace Hydrangea, Orlaya grandiflora. We have some beautiful pink Nigella that's just seeded itself here, and then the feverfew. And looking back, you can see Invincible Spirit here. I'm gonna have to check honestly what this hydrangea is. I thought it was wee white, but it's looking more like limetta. And then in the back there, you can see how just absolutely stunning Invincible Lace looks. Sensation Honeysuckle is coming in and out of bloom at the moment. But I really like that pop of light purple that penstemon brings to the garden. Maybe if we have a good day at the flower stand today, I can go ahead and pick up maybe 3 more penstemon and add them into the garden. The Mount Everest Alliums have completely lost their color now and turned to seed heads. So that's how the hydrangea room is looking. Should we head over to the Booknook next? I feel like the main change probably happened in the main flower walk, so we'll go there very soon. I'm really happy with how all of these incredible hydrangeas are doing. We planted them in the fall of last year, and I have an interesting comparison for you with a spring planted hydrangea from last year versus fall planted hydrangeas, and also a size comparison. So I believe that these hydrangeas, they were either, I think they were gallons, or they might have been quarts, but I didn't pay too much for them, maybe $25 each, and I planted them in the fall. And you can see their mature size now, and they all made it through the winter really well, all looking really good and healthy. Now, this incredible hydrangea, I put in late spring last year, and it was in a 5-gallon container. And I would say it's almost the exact same size as the ones that we put in the fall. So I thought that was an interesting comparison. And I want the Booknook to function as a moon garden this year. So I planted 3 flats of sun patience in the Booknook the other day. Hopefully they'll fill in between these incredible hydrangeas and help me cover up the soil so that I don't have to use so much mulch. But I did forget that some patients do need a lot of water, so I have been bringing the hose back here and watering them almost daily because it has gotten pretty hot the last few days. So let's head over to the raised bed garden now. I did harvest a lot of the Asiatic lilies in the raised bed yesterday to sell at the flower stand. So you're seeing what remains at this point. Last fall we interplanted corsage lilies and lingerie daffodils, and that interplanting worked out perfectly. I would definitely do that again. These corsage lilies are absolutely stunning. They're quite small Asiatic lilies and they're multi-headed. And just a few days ago, this bed was completely full of these corsage lilies, and I think you're going to see a vlog about that coming next week. But as I cut and sold the lilies, I immediately replaced them with vegetables. So I put in some zucchini and tomatoes, and we do have the little gem lettuce, which we seeded together. When was that? Was that maybe a month and a half ago that we seeded that? So I hope you'll tune in for that vlog, because seeing that bed full of the corsage lilies was really spectacular. Here's a look at the daffodil bed that we overplanted with butter crunch lettuce. I think I was a little heavy-handed with the seed. I think we have enough lettuce to feed the entire community. Yesterday I also planted some Malabar spinach. I didn't film planting up the raised beds with vegetables, but this year I want to do more of a potager garden back here, where we're mixing cut flowers and vegetables and fruits. So here I have a melon and herb bed, and in the front I have a few dahlias. I've got my cucumbers growing up trellises, so I love doing that. I love growing cucumbers and melons up trellises. This bed doesn't look like too much at the moment. I just cleared the daffodils out of this area, and now we have stock and dahlias here. We do have some gorgeous snapdragons in bloom. This is Monaco Orange Snapdragon. And I believe I started these from seed in February. And then here we have light salmon Chantilly Snapdragon. The sweet peas have started to bloom, and these were the ones that we directly sowed in the fall. You can see them coming on there right now. And behind me, the bed of Leucianthus is doing good, but it doesn't really look any different than it did in the months past. So here's a look back from the back right-hand corner of the Booknook. It's so nice to have this space to just relax in. You can bring over a lounge chair and get some sun, or in the evening you can enjoy it by the light of lanterns. Let's head to the entrance to the main flower walk now so I can show you some gorgeous ranunculus in full bloom. The robins and the catbirds have been enjoying the serviceberry trees. Serviceberries taste like a subtle blueberry, and if you can grab them before the robins, they are edible. I think the serviceberry tree is the best small tree for our area. It gets beautiful white blooms in very early spring, followed by these berries. You can see a bird right there. It brings birds into the garden, and then in the fall it turns a vibrant orange color. So much to love about the serviceberry tree. We've got purples, peaches, pinks, and acid greens in the main flower walk at the moment. And I'm really happy with this color palette. Oh, here comes Grace. Hi, Gracie. Daddy just let Gracie out. Grace is doing okay. She had a custom cast made of her leg last week. And then on Monday, we're going to be getting a custom made brace for her to wear, and she's going to need to wear that for the next 6 months. So let's travel down both sides of the border together. Right here we have some feverfew in bloom. Catmint, totally tangerine, and hellebores are mingling together under the serviceberry tree. We have some Saving Grace dahlias at the back of the border, and as you can see, Grace is at the back of the border at the moment. She's right next to a false climbing hydrangea. I have 3 of these false climbing hydrangeas, and they've been in the garden for 4 years, and they really have not grown much at all. So maybe they're just not getting enough sun back there and there's too much competition. But I'm really surprised to see how little they've grown. But ideally one day we would have those false hydrangea vines growing up the garage and really helping to camouflage the look of that cement block. The peonies are pretty much done now. We've got some baptisia, an incredible hydrangea with a lot of different lilies planted around it. And check out these tecolote ranunculus. These are tecolote salmon. God bless you, Grace. Gracie, do you need a water bowl out here? Gracie, I'll bring your water out here. You don't need to drink that water. Gracie doesn't speak English. Anyway, these tecolote salmon ranunculus are just phenomenal, and honestly, they look even better in the sun. Gosh, Grace. Okay, Grace, come on. Come on. I'll bring your water bowl out. These are so beautiful. And you never know when you see just that square picture on a website whether or not the flower is going to be true to color. But this one really was, and I got these corms from Longfield Gardens. That was the left-hand side of the main flower walk. Now let's take a look at the right-hand side. It's somewhat similar, but the trees are placed differently in this area. I have a prairie fire crab apple tree over here. A lot of really tall lilies. Eastern moon lilies specifically will bloom next. We've got some Calla Lilies in bloom. And I am so shocked by how quickly these Calla Lilies bloomed. I'm pretty sure I planted these corms exactly 1 month ago, and they are covered in blooms. So I was really, really happy with that. Some of the foxglove have started to bloom, but I think the main show of foxglove will happen right around the time that the hydrangea room comes into full bloom. Another incredible hydrangea right here. In terms of which allium blooms at what time, these are ambassador. They're the last allium to bloom in my garden. The first allium to bloom is gladiator, followed by pinball wizard, which you see right here, Mount Everest, and then finally we finish with ambassador. And here we have the most beautiful flower in the garden, still smiling, despite, I'm sure, what is some level of pain. Grace, what you got? You got my slipper. Okay, bring the slipper this way. Okay, let's bring it. You want to show Daddy? Good job. Bring it this way. Doesn't that belong in the library? Are you going to put that on? I think that's too big for you. I don't think it will fit. Love you. Okay, let's get back to the garden tour. I believe I did 7 drifts of 7 Ranunculus corms throughout the main flower walk. I really like how that looks, but I would like to have bigger drifts. So next year, I think I'll do more like 9 or 11 drifts of Ranunculus, and I think that'll look really beautiful. Here at the stone rug, things are looking quite nice. We have some larkspur still to bloom, and the Gatsby Gal oak leaf hydrangea has started to push out its bloom stalks. We have a single Martagon lily next to the bench. I'm not sure what happened to the other Martagon lilies that I had planted there, but that's all right. I really like the different textures and colors in this area. So now that you've seen the main flower walk, let's head over to the driveway garden. Today's going to be hot, but then things are going to cool down again, so I'm hoping that we have at least another 2 weeks with these Ranunculus because they are just so beautiful. Some lady's mantle there on the left-hand side of the screen. But let's just take one more look at these Ranunculus in case we lose them today in the heat. The allium color is starting to fade away here in the driveway garden. I went ahead and harvested all of the taller gladiator alliums for the dried flower Christmas tree, and I'll probably go ahead and harvest these pinball wizard alliums now so that we can have some variations in allium color. More drifts of Orlaya grandiflora running through this garden. This is basically a completely self-seeded garden at this point in terms of the Orlaya and the feverfew. I'm mixing in lots of catmint into this garden, and our hedge of invincible Spirit 2 hydrangeas will be in bloom in about 2 weeks, and that is just a sight to behold. This year I added in lots of light pink lilies into this garden, so it'll be really a beautiful light pink show, and I'll probably go ahead and maybe harvest all of the roses at that point so that the show is truly just a light pink show and doesn't really have any vivid colors at that point. My thought behind the driveway garden is that it's a garden that you view as a picture from far away, because that's how I view it from our living room. So rather than point out plant after plant after plant, I really want this to be just a beautiful picture that is harmonious and works well together. 10 boxwoods lead us to our flower lady. And I'm still undecided on whether or not I like the double pink knockout roses here or whether or not we need to swap them out for a light pink rose. And many of you gave me great suggestions for light pink roses that would work well in our region. Some days I like the vibrant hot pink colors, and other days it seems overwhelming. I think it just depends on what else is blooming in this garden. But what's shocking to me is that this has turned into, I think, my favorite garden. If you would have asked me last year what my favorite garden was, I definitely would have said the hydrangea room. But it's just funny how sometimes a garden doesn't seem to be working. You make some subtle changes and all of a sudden it just comes to life. And I really think adding in the hardscaping there of the keyhole gravel area to our flower lady really made the whole garden make sense. Well, friends, I want to wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens. Thanks so much for joining me for today's garden tour. It looks like now Rocky is out here doing his rounds. So we want to wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens, and we'll see you sometime soon. Bye, friends.